The Sports Buffet podcast was spun off Talking High School Sports, a radio show that debuted on AM 1000 WKDE in Alta Vista. We then took our talents to mypodcast.com, and when that site folded, we brought it to youtube.com. So anything that we've done in the past, we still have for the most part, and we're going to bring it to you on our podcast site here on YouTube. So here is a flashback from the old days of Talking High School Sports and the Sports Buffet podcast. Shelley Blumenthal, the head coach of the Blacksburg Bruins Boys Soccer team, joined me on the Sports Buffet podcast. Coach Blumenthal's Bruins back in the state Final Four, familiar place to them. They will take on Jamestown at Cup Stadium on Friday. Coach Blumenthal talks about the standouts of his team, the success of the program, and more. Shelley Blumenthal, head coach of the Blacksburg Bruins, on the Sports Buffet podcast.
Always a pleasure for me to catch up with somebody on the southwestern portion of the state. Blacksburg head soccer coach Shelley Blumenthal. Coach, definitely appreciate your time. If it's June, it seems like the Blacksburg Bruins are always playing boys soccer. Give me the short version of what makes this team good.
Well, we're a team, I think, that has improved every day. One of our goals this season was to get better each day, and we're overall a pretty young group. We 14 players from last year's team are gone, and they had quite a bit of experience, and so we've had a very young group, and one of our strongest players, center midfielder Tyler Crawbaugh, 3-year starter, went down with a torn meniscus, and we've just so he's missed 4 games, and we're just trying to continue to get better with people that we put in, and so we're starting 2 freshmen, and that's mixed in with some veteran players who have a lot of experience playing in some significant matches, and so that mixture of the youth and experience seems to have helped us continue to improve, and hopefully we're playing our best soccer. We're trying.
Being a young group, what were your concerns or question marks coming into the season?
Well, one question was certainly how would we do without Michael Relford, our starting goalkeeper, past 3 years. Michael's at Lynchburg College, was most valuable defensive player in the Final Four. In the NCAA Division III tournament this past fall as a freshman, and so those were some big shoes to fill, and Cole Sinclair's done just an excellent job. We knew we'd have a couple of experienced players right in front of him, in Christian Burton and Deonis Beck, who are 3-year starters, but still, goalkeepers is a position of significant importance with regard to leadership and anchoring our defense, and so that was a concern. The other concern was physically our size. We are not a very, very tall or big team physically. We may be a little bit more technical and maybe not as athletic. For example, last night going against EC Glass, and with Skylar Keel and Walker Riley and Vito as big and strong and athletic and fast as they are, we had a little bit of difficulty figuring out how we were going to match up with them, and I thought our kids did a really, really good job. We overall we were able to ward off their long throwing pretty well.
What are the pros and cons? You talk about having maybe a taller, maybe a more athletic team, and then maybe, if you don't have that, maybe it's a more technical team. Give me the pros and cons of both those sides of the coin, so to speak.
Yeah, well, depending on, sometimes athleticism, depending on the size of the field that you're playing on, if the field is more of a width of a football field, 53, 54 yards wide field, that athleticism and direct play can have a big can be a big advantage, I would say, for a more athletic, direct kind of playing team. And I think a technical team at times, with the width of the field, if you can spread the opponent out some, that gives your team a chance to be a little more creative. And I think that's one of the things that we've been able to try to work on and improve is possessing the ball in the attacking half of the field. And we've done a really good job of that. I think we find too that if you can have a mixture between the two, that really helps. When I say athleticism, we have some forwards that are very athletic, but they have some speed, a lot of speed, but we're not 6'2" and 6'3" and powerful kinds of players that way.
A lot of people always talk about Blacksburg soccer in high regards, and I know you took a couple years off there for a little while, but you built a really strong program and maintained it. When you hear people talk about Blacksburg soccer and how much respect they have for the program and so on and so forth, what would be one or two big things that you would really want them to respect the most or to idolize the most about your program?
Well, I took 1 year off, 2008, when I had left the school system for that year, and then I came back. And I think one of the biggest compliments our program has received, maybe the biggest, is when Mike Webb, the Chancellor high school coach, I guess it was back around 2000. I don't know if it was early, maybe 2003, 2004, and then one time he said it in 2005. Actually, 2001 and 2005, he said that, we have better players. Blacksburg has a better team. And, we preach the team concept and try and get things done collectively as a team. And when you hear that kind of praise from a coach, I think that says a lot. The other is our tradition, and I think some younger kids in our community, whether they're ball boys or they go to their parents and say, hey, I think I'd like to play soccer. We hope that part of it's because they've had a chance to see us play and they know a little bit about the tradition. And so I think the idea that we're a team and we have great tradition, I think, are two things that jump out at me.
I don't want to say was it tough to be away from Blacksburg soccer for that 1 year, but how did you feel being away in terms of, you weren't responsible for the day-to-day operations per se of the soccer program. How difficult was that for you?
Oh, well, certainly I missed it. I missed the kids a ton. Many of them were, that particular group of students were my students in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, the seniors, when I was a counselor at the middle school. And they also, there was probably 5 or 6 of them that I coached as early as 9th grade. So I missed them a lot, and yes, I did miss the day-to-day activity and trying to build a team and put things together. That happened to be a very, very talented group, and part of the rationale when I was leaving at that time and making some decisions was that was a group that should be very, very, very competitive, and the cupboard was far from bare. We had 8 starters back, and so I still felt part of it just because I knew the kids so well, and the coaching, the co-coaches for my assistant prior to that. So it was definitely tough, though, and I missed it, and I enjoyed my year. I spent that fall assistant coaching Roanoke College to Scott Allison, and we won the ODAC championship, went to the NCAA tournament, ODAC tournament, and the NCAA tournament. That was a lot of fun too, but missed it tremendously.
Region 4 now. I know back in the day you guys have been in Region 3, and it's been a few years as well since you guys have been in Region 4. What are the differences in terms of getting out of the region now as per se when you guys were in Region 3?
Well, we've had a lot of experience in Region 4 because up until I guess it was through the '96 season, I think it was '96, we were in Region 4, and then when we moved to the Blue Ridge District, we went into Region 3, and just in the Blue Ridge District alone, every day in the district was a battle. You really had to come to play. So we were in a very competitive situation then. And then at the same time, out of district, certainly with Jefferson Forest, being in the Seminole District, being there, was most competitive as well. Now in Region 4, I would say that we still, with Hidden Valley and Cave Spring and Salem being in our district, along with Pulaski County and Christiansburg, we have a demanding district, and on occasion you can find a very, very good squad that doesn't make it out of the district into the region. However, the out of district, you still have Martinsville and Bassett, so I think there's some similarities. It may be that there was more depth, maybe a little bit more depth in Region 3, but at that time. But I think that's just because the Seminole District being in there.
What can you tell me about Jamestown?
They are extremely athletic, very strong. They're 17-1-1. Patrick O'Brien is the reigning state AA Player of the Year. He's committed to William and Mary, which made the NCAA tournament. Bobby O'Brien, Patrick's brother, who's a former Jamestown player and former Virginia Tech player. Bobby just does a great job with them. He's an excellent young coach who is also part of the Virginia Legacy soccer program. He's a professional coach. I mean, he's a full-time coach. And they have a lot of speed. They're very, very good in the air and direct, so they play try to play a lot of aerial balls and see if they can knock it down for players running on. They have some pace at the outside back and the outside midfield particularly. So we know we have our hands full. They've lost one game to the number 1 ranked team in the country, Cox, first game of the year. So, when you're at this point, you've got four teams that are tested, and obviously JF being undefeated, and TAP being in the same district and region as Jamestown. You've got teams that have played some strong soccer, and should make for an entertaining and exciting Final Four.
What do you think are a couple keys to taking down Jamestown for you guys?
Well, I think we're going to have to defend extremely well on their restarts. That's an area that they seem to excel at, and with their athleticism, they do a lot of flicks and try to find Patrick O'Brien in the midfield as well. So we're gonna have to neutralize Patrick, I would say, and we're gonna have to look potentially to do some counterattacking, which with our strengths, if we can get the ball forward and cause some problems for their center backs, that will be helpful in creating some scoring opportunities. We think if we can get some scoring opportunities, that'll be crucial. They try to outscore people. They're just a dynamic attacking team. So we'll have to defend the house, no question.
I know there is a ways to go before the state final, but it could be potentially a matchup of you and Jefferson Forest, which it seems like a lot of people in the Lynchburg, Roanoke area kind of salivate to see that matchup. Talk about the rivalry that you guys have with JF, because, I would say, and correct me if I'm speaking out of turn, but I think the respect level between you and Jed is great in there, but it seems like it's more of a competitive rivalry as opposed to, being a we hate them rivalry.
Well, obviously I've got the utmost respect for Jed. I mean, he's a good friend, and we played, after college we played club soccer together against a lot of college teams and so on. So we go way back. I went to college with Betty, his wife, and I just have the utmost respect for Jed. He is he's a cerebral coach. He can tactically figure out exactly what it is that he wants to do to try to have a chance to have the best performance from his team. In my observation, I saw them one time, and I knew they were going to have an excellent team with all those juniors and with Devin and Brian back there. But then, when the 2 exchange students were there, you talk about making an excellent team, outstanding that was my impression, and they really are balanced all over the field. I think that's one of the things that I think Jed takes a lot of pride in. They are such a technical team. With Tyler Bullock, he can go at you at the outside mid, and yet my observation is that at least what I read in the paper and see, they don't give up many goals, and that says a whole lot. And the fact that they beat EC Glass 4 times. To beat a state quarterfinalist 4 times says an awful lot about your particular squad. So, yeah, I think there's obviously a tremendous amount of respect. We've played against each other in some big matches, some region championships. We played against each other in a state semifinal. Trying to think, actually more than one. We played a couple state semifinals. But, to even think beyond Friday certainly would, to think that could happen. I mean, there's too much that has to happen. There are too many variables here right now. You got 2 big games with 4 quality teams, and if that matches up, then that should be a great rivalry in both, or great game, and both Jed and I will be excited because we're both playing for state championship. Our team's playing, but we're not even approaching that. We got to take care of business on Friday if we're going to have a chance. So.
Right. Well, absolutely. You're definitely right. Long way to go, but definitely best of luck on Friday, Coach. Always a pleasure to talk to you, and we'll talk to you down the line.
I appreciate it very much. Thanks so much, Bob.
Shelley Blumenthal on the Sports Buffet Podcast.